2016 be adopted as circulated. Moved by Councillor Niche, second by Councillor Cunningham. All those in favour? Motion's carried. Okay, before I get started tonight, let's have a quick statement of the chair for tonight's Committee of the Whole. For those of you present this evening and for those watching via television, let me please explain that a Committee of the Whole meeting is a committee that consists of all members of Council. This meeting allows Council members to deal with issues in greater detail but is less formal than a regular Council meeting. During this meeting, issues are not formally adopted, but recommendations may be made at the next regular Council meeting. At that time, the recommendations of the previous Committee of the Whole meeting will be adopted and acted upon. Some key points to remember when making your presentation are: remember, Council meetings are televised, and it is very important to introduce yourself and, if applicable, name of the organization that you are representing and speak directly into the microphone in a clear voice. When presenting, please address any comments or questions to the chair of the meeting. Keep your presentation brief. 3 minutes would be ideal, as Council has several presentations on their agenda. Once you have completed your presentation, please ensure you summarize any requests or concerns. The chair will then ask Council members if they have any questions. Remember, there will be no decisions made at this meeting on any requests or concerns you have made. And lastly, requests will be referred to staff for review, report, and recommendation to Council. So what I'll do is, essentially, this is an informal process. You can come and speak into the microphone on any topic of your choice. Seeing as we have an audience tonight, I'm sure there's a certain topic people would like to discuss. So at one at a time, you can come forward and use this microphone, and there's the green button on there, and say whatever you'd like to say to Council. So I'll call the first presenter. Welcome. And just state your name and perhaps the organization you represent.
Do I have to hold the green button down?
Just once.
Okay. Good evening, Council. My name is Keith Lambourne. I'm the President of the Prince Rupert and District Chamber of Commerce. I'd like to speak this evening to the PNW LNG project. Just like to reiterate that the position of the Prince Rupert and District Chamber of Commerce is that we support the project. I'd like to remind Council that we did so after the draft environmental report was issued by the Canadian Environmental Assessment Authority, which the business community of Prince Rupert feels was an extensive and exhaustive process which took 3 years. We did not publicly support the project until that time because the salmon are as important to us as they are to everyone else. We're satisfied that the process has been thorough and all the legal pieces are in place for the project to proceed. And I'd just like to wish the Council well in their negotiations, which I understand are ongoing with PNW LNG, and I hope you negotiate the best possible deal that you can for the citizens of Prince Rupert and Port Edward. Well, actually just Prince Rupert, sorry about that. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker, please.
Good evening, Your Worship, Council, staff. My name is John Farrell. I'm here representing myself as a businessman, as a volunteer, a coach, father of two. I'm here because I'm here tonight to speak up for my community. I'm not going to talk about the last week's protests in the chamber, which were appalling. I'm not going to get into the fact that the project itself, Pacific Northwest LNG, is not in the jurisdiction of this municipality. What I will talk about are three things briefly. One is that I actively support the project itself and the jobs that it's going to bring to my community. Secondly, I think that natural gas is a transitional fuel that we need to consider, because what it does is it bumps away coal and diesel, which are both greenhouse gas emitters. And lastly, I think, unlike the organizers of the protest that we saw a week and a half ago, I have faith in my neighboring communities of Kitkatla, Metlakatla, and Lac Coulombe. And they have already said that they will be monitoring this project ensuring that the salmon and the Skeena estuary are safe. I have faith that they'll do so through TESA, the Tsimshian Environmental Stewardship Authority. And lastly, I believe I represent the silent majority in this town. That we see this LNG project as a needed piece for our community, as a booster of our economy, and a project that's going to bring jobs for our young people, which is essential. So thanks very much for listening to me this evening. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. I will say, at the last meeting, we had some hooting and hollering and clapping and things like that. I would just ask if we can keep our decorum here and make sure that people can say their statements. And last meeting, I should have gotten on top of some of that, and I didn't. But tonight, I'm definitely not going to allow signs or things like that. So I appreciate that you are supportive of the comments, but let's just keep the clapping and all those type of things to a minimum tonight. Okay, so the next speaker, please. Welcome.
Good evening, Your Worship, councillors, staff. My name is Chris Sankey. I am with the Lac Lambs government, your neighboring community within the Coast Tsimshian territory. I'm here to talk about Lac Lambs' position on the Pacific Northwest LNG project, Petronas. I want the council and staff to know, and members in the audience, that Lac Lambs went through an extensive process to get to where we are today. And it was in support of the process. And Lac Lambs will continue to move forward with that process with the information that we've been provided, which I think has been very detailed environmental assessment process. We respect other people's opinions, and I think Lac Lambs government and the mayor, Mayor John Helene, and the council have been very respectful of those opinions. We've not elected not to get involved in other people's opinions. However, it is the Coast Tsimshian territory of Lac Lambs and Metlakatla, and we're not going to be dictated by other communities or individuals or groups that think otherwise. We would never do it to them, and we respectfully ask for you not to do that to us. So we will follow through in the process that was set out by mandate by our membership that voted in favor of the process to continue on. We understand the impacts of other communities. We understand that people have concern, but I want to reiterate that First Nations people, in particular Lac Lambs, where I'm from, have been around for 10,000 years, and I think we've been very respectful, and we've been watching out for the environment all those years, and we'll continue to do that. But we're going to do it on our terms, and we're going to continue to move forward in a productive and efficient manner. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next speaker, please. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, Council, staff. My name is Rodney Proske. I'm the owner-operator of Foggy Point Charter Services here in Prince Rupert. It's an ecotourism and sport fishing charter operation, so my livelihood and my family's livelihood depends upon healthy fish stocks and a pristine natural environment. I've been involved with some of the work that's been done on the ground as far as the environmental assessment has been concerned with the Pacific Northwest LNG project. I've seen it firsthand, and I believe in it 100%. I'm convinced that everything that can be done has been done, and as long as the conditions are met that the Environmental Assessment Agency has put out, I don't see why this project shouldn't go forward. And I don't see why there's people in our community that choose in the 11th hour to submarine and torpedo this project after all the work that your council and this city has done, and the province has done, and the regional district has done to advance this. To have an 11th hour appeal to quash it, to quote, save, not sacrifice one industry for another, just doesn't make any sense to me. I don't get it. I don't understand it. I'd like somebody to explain that to me, and how that project or process could be hijacked in that kind of a way. It just doesn't make sense. Due diligence has been done. The process is moving forward. The people have spoken. The communities involved, the stakeholders have spoken. I think it's plain. I think it's clear. And after what I saw last week, demanding for the city to take a position of no on this project makes no sense to me whatsoever from any perspective. And I certainly hope that you would never, ever consider that. There's too much at risk. There's too much at stake. The future of our entire region is at stake with either this project or ones that are upcoming. We have to be mindful of that. We have to make sure that we look after not just one little specific interest group who are important, don't get me wrong. Their rights and their privileges and their chance to move on and prosper is important, but we cannot let that overtake the common good. It has to be there. We have to stand up for what is best for everyone and their children after that. There's some industries in this region that are not prospering right now and haven't prospered for a long time. Is it fair to hold everyone hostage to those industries and not allow forward movement and forward growth? I don't think so. And you're going to see me in the very near future becoming very public, and I'm going to make sure that that doesn't happen, and I'm going to make sure that what happens is that people in this community get what they deserve and what they've been working so hard for so many years. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your time. Okay, next speaker, please. Welcome.
Thank you, Your Worship, councillors, city staff. My name is Scott Farwall, a longtime resident of Prince Rupert, 16 years now, and I'm here tonight to speak to you, and actually truthfully disappointed that I have to attend tonight to let you know my thoughts. I'm disappointed in the fact that the council meeting of November the 17th, I believe it was, hijacked by a number of outspoken individuals, and that manner didn't provide council with the respect that it's due as elected officials. The office of the council chambers is really one where people should be able to come in, speak their mind without fear of retribution or intimidation from others, and anything that doesn't allow that is disrespectful and should not be allowed in our community. And I was very disappointed. I think you have to look. There was a 3-year environmental assessment process that occurred, concluded with the federal government, the provincial government, our First Nations, local First Nation governments, and the District of Port Edward expressing their support for the development and are now mandated to ensure the proponent complies with the conditions of the environmental assessment. So for at this point in time, for Prince Rupert to be considering a motion that goes against that is out of their mandate. This proposal by the proponent isn't within Prince Rupert's jurisdictions, and really is a distraction from what you folks should be doing, and that is to continue the negotiations with Pacific Northwest LNG on a benefit agreement to the citizens of Prince Rupert. I urge council to defeat the motion, handedly defeat the motion, and let that segment of bullies know that council is not going to be hijacked anymore. I support the industrial development that has been approved by required senior levels of government and is supported by our local First Nation leaders. PMW has met all these obligations, and it's fortunate that they're interested in negotiating or entering some benefit agreement to the city of Prince Rupert, because truthfully they probably don't have to, and we should remember that. And it's, in closing, I guess it's unfortunate that our previous council of no didn't choose to be involved in the process when they had that opportunity, and now you're left with the remnants of that.
Thank you. Okay, next speaker, please. Welcome.
My name is Brian Musgrave, local resident and taxpayer for 14 years and owner of Rainbow Chrysler. And I'm not here to speak directly to the Pacific Northwest event, just more to council, your worship and staff as a whole. And I have a lot of respect for everybody sitting in this room and the commitments you made, especially those coming forward as citizens to become members of council, to make tough business decisions. Because you're running a city and there's lots of implications on that. I run a business with just under 30 staff. When I make decisions, and lots of tough decisions, those decisions are based on the benefit of all. As a group, both staff, council, and your worship, you're responsible for 14,000 plus families. And we know that the city is suffering from an infrastructure deficit. And I can tell you there's one simple thing in business. You either increase your revenue or reduce your expenses. Well, for the last 10 to 15 years, this city and this council has done nothing but reduce expenses to the point where there's no reducing left. So the only way to correct that, not counting the infrastructure deficit, is to increase revenue. So I am definitely pro-development as long as it's done in a sustainable manner. And all I would like to ask everybody to do, especially council and any decisions that are there, is remember, you've made a commitment to the people of Prince Rupert. It's 14,000 strong, not 30 strong. And some of the decisions are tough decisions. Not everybody's going to like the decisions, but you've made a commitment to make those decisions. And I just ask the respect of council, your worship, and staff to make the decisions in the best possible light for all of the citizens that you're representing. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next speaker, please. Welcome.
Larry Golden, 1601 2nd Avenue West. Dr. McLaren, 119 requirements, so not everything's been met. Dr. McLaren has his PhD in sedimentology, etc. So he's not someone just to be pushed aside. But that's not even why I came here. I didn't expect to have all this here. First, Canada First or something like that has done a report, and it highlighted Prince Rupert in that it said 30% of the children here are poverty-stricken, and it was the third highest in the province of BC. I think it's like when a little while ago Maclean's magazine said how Prince Rupert was 10th in crime or something like that. They just misunderstood they just hadn't followed the statistics correctly. So but still it is something to have the third highest child poverty rate in the province. One, I'd like to see the city council look at that and see if I think it's not true. I think they've just misinterpreted the data by bringing the villages in and counting them and stuff like that. That's how we got the highest crime rate, was they counted the whole regional district as opposed to just the city, and then divided by the population. So we also had the lecture from the community development. So I was wondering, the report of Third Avenue is going to be on we were told this, so I would like for you to say how it was going to be presented. The city was going to present some sort of a online presentation or something like that. So through their meetings, what I didn't get was, I think the city itself should be looking towards climate change. So it has two aspects that really involves us. It's the extreme storm events like 10-10-10. And so I think we should, as a city, we should be going around saying, these trees here, we're going to have to do something. Even though it's on private property, it's going to take out the power lines when it goes over. So we should be just every 3 or 4 years going around looking at what happens when we get the really extreme wind events. And secondly, we're projected to get, and it depends what you get, a 0.5 meter to 2 meters rise in sea level. And so I would think that every 3 or 4 years, the city should go around and just look at its dirt beaches, because a lot of ours are rocks, so we don't have to worry about them, and see if they're actually being eaten away. And some of the ones along the CN track were at one time, but now they've made it off limits, so I haven't gone down there and looked lately. But Prince Rupert's got a very large shoreline, so I think it behooves them to look around and see, just every couple of years, and do some sort of monitoring to see if we're losing any place at any, because it'll surprise us. What do you mean over there? We won't know until we do. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, next speaker, please. Welcome.
My name is Leona Peterson, and I come from Metlakatla. I've lived here my whole life except for 5 years, where I took 5 years out of my life and tried to discover something else besides Prince Rupert. I came back home because this is home. I want to look each one of you in the eye because I want you to know that I have researched the methane projects. I have researched methane extraction, and I have researched everything to do with this facility. I was surprised about the scrubbers because all the propaganda that has been going out has been stated that we're going to get the best technology from PNW. Okay? We were looking at being severely polluted. Besides the salmon, I'm worried about me. I'm worried about my neighbors. I'm worried about children. I'm worried about the seniors. I'm worried about people that can't breathe well, because that's what's going to be affected by this pollution. Now, we get this project here, we're adding to a worldwide methane problem. I do not like being seen as someone that is pesky and annoying. I have a right, and so does everyone else, to clean air. The bad infrastructure in this community has nothing to do with you. It has to do with the Canadian government, making sure that they signed an agreement that doesn't enable them to make any sort of loans from the Bank of Canada for infrastructure or for anything that we need. We used to have this as a basic need as Canadians, and that was signed away. Then we have our erosion of environmental laws that have steadily taken away every protection we've had. And then we had how many years of Harper ripping away everything to make these projects pretty. You're putting lipstick on a pig. I am going to be paid to be polluted. I am offended that my band council has signed on to this, with a carrot waved in front of them telling them that they were going to get Digby Island back under reserve land. How do you guys feel about that? Because that's the carrot Metlakatla has been dealt. They have been told they're going to get that tax base. That tax base now disappears from Prince Rupert. I am offended that not one person has stood up except for one council member because she researched everything. I didn't know about the scrubbers. I was blown away about the scrubbers. That all they had to do was introduce scrubbers that would reduce our risk of acid rain in our own community. I am afraid. For over 10 years, we've had nothing but industrial development thrown at us. First, it was fish farms. Over 10 years ago, I'm walking the streets of Prince Rupert in protest, and I'm crying because I'm worried my son's never going to have the life I experienced. Abalone, bigger than my hand. He's never going to experience that. Now we're looking at salmon. You take this facility, it's not going to just take out the salmon. It's taking out the insects, it's taking out the birds, it's taking out the bats. It's taking out everything. You take that out of our ecosystem, and our ocean that has had a 4-degree rise in the last 10 years is going to warm up more. We are going to end up another dead zone on Earth. We are impacting the future of not just Prince Rupert, but the world. That's the effect we have on adding another dead ocean part to the world. We have to be more responsible than that. These fossil fuel agendas are being passed only because they want our last nickel and dime. We don't have pennies anymore. They don't care about us. They don't care about our quality of life. They don't care about our ability to breathe. And if I have to sit on Leilu and be removed by the RCMP or whoever else is designated to remove me, count on it. I will be there. And I will think of each and every one of you and the other people that are in this community that are supporting this, that are ignorant of the facts. They are not knowledgeable of what methane is doing around this world. And if we lose the Arctic with the Haze 2.0 plan, we're looking at losing Rupert, because we're going to see a major rise in the oceans if the Arctic and the Antarctic go. So I don't understand how we're going to plan for a future when there's no Prince Rupert. Thank you. I'm sorry I got loud, but corporations do not breathe. People do. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Okay, I'll call second time. Welcome.
Your Worship, Member of Council, my name is John Ragna. I've been around here for 55 years. I saw the up and down of Prince Rupert many times. There are always a lot of people that are negative. They talk about knowledge, but they don't have any knowledge. Regarding the LNG, this has been around for 3 years now in discussion. They went through a lot of process of research. And actually they come up with a conclusion that this project is a viable project. The Minister of Environment embraced this project. And it told us that if we build it properly, it will be a viable operation, regardless what some negative people will say, or negative people will always be there. They'll always be there with plaques. But I believe that without this project, we are going to go backwards. We've seen a lot of projects offered to Prince Rupert before, didn't materialize. I remember Dome Petroleum back in the 80s. Cost us a lot of money. Cost Prince Rupert a lot of money. So let us embrace this project. Don't be negative, and give this project a viable, possible operation for the benefit of Prince Rupert, BC, and Canada. So let's embrace this project.
Thank you. Okay, next speaker, please. Welcome.
Your Worship, Councillors, good evening. My name is Tom Chang. I'm a resident of Prince Rupert for 5 years. I just want to echo Brian Musgrave's comment and to support responsible development. I truly believe the studies, the amount of investments, the time and effort these companies have invested into these projects and have demonstrated to everybody that they are responsible developers. And I think we need the economy, we need jobs, and without industries, we will not have any jobs. Where does job comes from? So whether it's PNW, Nixon, ExxonMobil, Alltech Gas, we need these industry for the community in order for the community to benefit from the economy they will generate. So I just want to support responsible developments and to generate the economy and the jobs that is needed. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, please. Okay, call a second time. And I'll call a third and final time. Okay, seeing none, I'd like to entertain adjournment of this session and to reconvene the regular council meeting. Moved by Councillor Cunningham, second by Councillor Niche. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Okay, so and just for the record, we don't have much on our council agenda this evening, so if you want to stick around for the rest of this, you can. If you want to take off, you can take off as well. So there's no motions on this tonight's agenda, just for the record. Thank you. Okay, well, moving on to item 2. Recommendation that the agenda for the regular council meeting of November 28th, 2016 be adopted as presented. Moved by Councillor Cunningham, seconded by Councillor Renhawa. All those in favor? Motion's carried. Item 3A, recommendation that the minutes of the special council meeting of November 14th, 2016 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Moreau, seconded by Councillor Niche. Any comments? All those in favor? Motion's carried. Item 3B, recommendation that the minutes of the regular council meeting of November 14th, 2016 be adopted. Moved by Councillor Niche, second by Councillor Cunningham. Any comments? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion's carried. Okay, we're going to move right to reports and questions from members of council. As you'll notice, we don't have any real business items on our agenda tonight. However, on our December 12th meeting, we will have a action-packed capital budget and other items of interest that didn't quite make the deadline for this agenda. So at our December 12th meeting, there will be a variety of other items to be considered. But I do have 2 things to quickly report out on. Then I will open up to members of council. One is the redesign process that the city just concluded. We had a 4-day process here in Prince Rupert, and we had design firm, the planning partnership from Toronto attend and in real time engage the community and had a variety of stakeholder meetings and public engagement sessions down at the college, and essentially have gone above and beyond what I thought they were going to enable, and have essentially created a brand new vision of what the town could look like on 3rd Avenue, connecting into the waterfront, along the waterfront to the Rushbrook Trail, as well as Seal Cove, and have come up with a whole bunch of brand new design work, and also have given us some great quick win opportunities that aren't going to cost the municipality an arm and a leg, I should say, to be able to move forward on a lot of this design work. The finalization of this design will come back in the next couple of weeks, and then our intention is to have an 18-foot printout or that we can put around town in certain locations, and that people will be able to visually be able to look at what this looks like, some of the rebranding, some of the waterfront stuff. It's absolutely amazing. I'm very excited about it, and in 2017 we hope to move forward on a couple of those items. So it was a really great event. They totally understood the flavor of Prince Rupert, and lots of people gave great feedback. So I'm looking forward to seeing that come to fruition in this coming year. Very exciting. And the other thing was the 60 units of affordable housing that we have just attracted to the city of Prince Rupert. The city made an application for affordable housing through the I guess it's the $800 million affordable housing fund that the province has set out to distribute across the province. We've worked with BC Housing all throughout September and October. They're coming up here every other week, identifying projects, working with us, looking at site locations. The city doesn't do housing, so we don't intake those housing units. We could make an application, but essentially it's on behalf of another agency that would take this on. So we were able to direct it to Metlakatla and to Kitkatla. Metlakatla is planning on building a seniors housing facility, 30 of which the province is going to be helping construct and subsidize, so 30 seniors housing units into a potential seniors complex that could have actually more than just 30 units. And Kitkatla right now also got 30 units for singles and families of affordable housing, and are also looking at sites right now, and could potentially be a larger project than just 30 units. So 2 separate developments of probably most likely a mixture of market and non-market housing, which is absolutely fantastic. So 60 affordable housing units, which we've been really working very hard on attracting here, and we're also working on the next level of that fund because there are some other needs that we've identified. For example, for potential men's shelter or some sort of alcohol treatment center situation that we've identified as a big need for Prince Rupert. So we're going to continue working things like that. So those are my two report outs. Some good news for us, some great progress, and I think 2017 is lining up to be a very fantastic year for us. So I'll open it up to members of council. Councillor Cunningham.
Okay, along the lines of housing, I attended the BC Northern Housing Convention or Conference at Prince George, and sort of opened my eyes, even though they're a little on the old side, simply because the 30 units of senior housing, if we look at what's going on in our town right now, is not even going to take care of the waiting list of the senior housing we have in town. So we can't let up on senior housing or affordable housing. They're both areas that we've got to really concentrate on. The fastest growing AIDS group in northern BC right now, unfortunately, isn't from 0 to 20, it's from 65 up. And it's going to rise by around 20-25% by the year 2025. And that's going to create a lot more senior housing. And I've said it like a broken record before. Every time seniors leave town, a lot leaves with them. Grandparents and the spending of money every day. And, we have a lot of closed shops in this town, and that money would be better spent here than Qualicum or Parksville or Prince George or Vancouver. So we've got to find housing, and not just subsidized housing for seniors, but even some private development for seniors. John's left already, but but it's definitely an area that we can't let up on. There's very low vacancy rate in Prince Rupert right now. We need more building, period.
Other reports?
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. I just wanted to put in a quick plug on the Small Business Advisory Committee. The resume process is open now, so we were hoping to get going early in the new year. So if you or anyone you know is interested in getting involved, please get them to submit their resume to City Hall.
Other reports? Okay, I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn. Moved by Councillor Cunningham, second by Councillor Niche. All those in favor? Meeting is adjourned. Thank you for attending.